Hi, everybody. You are watching CNN Money Switzerland. I'm Ana Maria Montero, and this summer we are looking at megatrends, in this case, sustainability, and how these have been impacted by the coronavirus. More importantly, we're looking at how we can leverage that pandemic experience for a more positive future. I'm joined now by Agnes Petit in Fribourg, and she is the founder and CEO of Mobbot, a company whose goal it is to make the construction sector more sustainable. Thank you so much for being with us today, Agnes.
Hi, Ana Maria. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very excited to be here and talk about my daily business.
And I am happy to hear about it. But before we get to your daily business and your technology, I just want to share with our viewers some interesting statistics about concrete. Now, concrete is the most consumed man-made material in the world and the second most consumed material on the planet after water. Cement production is said to be the third largest producer of CO2 in the world. And according to Chatham House, it is the source of about 8% of the global CO2 emissions. I mean, that's a tremendous number. It doesn't sound very eco-friendly, right? But we don't often talk about it. Why is that?
Well, you're right. We don't enough talk about this if you're not really in the sector. But from the construction sector, basically, this is one of the mega trends today to make the construction sector and to make concrete more sustainable. And yes, we need to do something, and that's why I have founded Mobbot.
On your website, you say that your software and robotic system allows for construction firms to fabricate their own concrete up to 30 times faster, 40 times cheaper, and with 30% less CO2 emissions. I mean, big numbers.
Yeah, big numbers. We are talking about the very specific case, which is our business case. We are providing a robotic system, an automated system for utility products, so underground infrastructure product. An element like this, which is called a cable chamber, it's really unsexy, but it's absolutely needed everywhere in all cities, just to put electrical energy cables or water. An element like this needs 2 to 3 days to be built on the job site. We do this within 1 hour. So we are reducing from 25 hours of man work to less than 1 hour. And by doing that, we can also reduce the cost, like indirect cost. And thanks to the additive manufacturing, which enables us to customize every single element, it reduces the CO2 footprint. So if we look at the business case on which we are looking like really infrastructure product, yes, we are 25 times faster, 40 times cheaper, and 30% CO2. We emit less than 30% CO2.
And do construction companies have to pay a premium for this kind of technology?
Well, definitely we are not underselling our technology, as we are one of the business case, and what we have seen is that construction companies mostly need a solution for yesterday, not for in 2 weeks or in 6 weeks. And this has a cost or price, definitely. If you want to have a good solution, a solution that is reactive, that you have it tomorrow, you have to pay a certain price for this.
And how has COVID-19 then impacted these megatrends that you've mentioned in the construction sector? What have you seen?
Well, the first, so construction is is one of the last sector that reacts to external trends. And we have seen during the COVID that construction were still ongoing while everyone was confined. But during the COVID, what happened is that many people just find out that people cannot continue to work so close to each other on the job site. And at least what we have seen or what we have noticed is that during this time, quite a lot of customers had more time to think about innovation, automation, and they contacted us during this confinement because it was kind of a trigger moment for them to say, yeah, maybe it's a time to think about how we can do things differently.
Interesting. I mean, and did you see a spike then perhaps in your sales? Did you see that?
Yeah, definitely.
During the confinement?
In March, we were really addressing the French part of the market, and we were delivering products while really like we were entering into the confinement. And for about 2 weeks, everything kind of stopped. And beginning of April, we started getting calls from the Swiss-German part. And this was really like a call, like everyone had suddenly the time to think about innovation, to think about how to do things differently. And over the week during April, we really saw a kind of a peak of the calls, requests, offers. So, and this is also because in the construction sector, we have the high seasonality effect. And this was probably also due to this. So definitely we have seen over the past few weeks increase in sales and requests.
How sustainable is this growth? I mean, do you think this will last?
What I see and what we notice around is that suddenly it's not only one player that drives this change, there are several players. And this makes the entire dynamic of change really like accelerating. And this is a huge opportunity for the sector where we are not only one or two players trying to make concrete and construction more sustainable, but there are many players, first. And second is about your question for sustainability of growth. I definitely think there's now a change in the mindset of people, because the construction is under such a pressure due to many external factors, not only sustainability, but as I said about aging workforces or productivity, that this requires a change from the entire sector. So definitely what we see is an automatized or robots coming in the construction sector, and how to play between like humans, robots, automation, and how to sustain this. So I definitely think this is not only a trend that will last a couple of weeks and months, but it's a change of mindset.
Now at Mobbot, what you market is a 3D printing system, right? For construction. What made you see the need for 3D printing?
I'm working in the construction material and construction sector since about 13 years. And I used to develop concrete products for civil engineering, buildings, landscaping. And I was suffering the pain of having a solution for tomorrow, or even for yesterday. Basically, when you work with job site manager, when you work with architects, civil engineers, everything needs a solution as of today, like express delivery, like a solution to be constructed today. And I thought that 3D printing, which is used in other material, could be also transferred to concrete. And that's how I came to this idea. Now, what we do at Mobbot is a bit different than the real 3D concrete printing, the conventional one that we can see on YouTube, for instance. What we do is really like we took a 100-year-old construction technique used in tunnel, like spraying of concrete. And we add robotics, automation, and sensors, or like kind of a layer of new technology. And we combine these two in order to do a new additive manufacturing technique.
Technique that is, pardon the term, sticking and working. You just completed a seed round of 2.9 million Swiss francs, which is quite a statement given the current climate.
Yes, that was a really challenging time, because we raised the funding. We started raising the funding and negotiation just before the COVID. So we really had the funding during the pandemic. So I'm really like happy to have first Muchler Venture on board, and also Investier that allowed to close this round. And we have really good investors also among Swiss Emo Lab or the Nest Pension Fund. And everything went very, very fast, I must say. Like, I think stars were aligned. We find ourselves, and during the pandemic, we could just finalize the deal. So it was really the right time to do this.
Why did you decide to break out on your own and go a more challenging route of a startup instead of developing in-house with a major player in the industry?
What led me to found Mobbot is that first I thought that working in a startup mode, in a much more agile mode, enable us to really adapt the business model, but also the technology to what we will encounter on the path. And definitely that's I think if you want to disrupt this market, you have to think in a different way. And being a startup gives this opportunity to address every player and to address a larger market than being like working for one player.
And what other applications for Mobbot do you see in the future? Are there?
There are definitely. We have identified them already. But I do believe that if we want to be successful, you want to deep in one direction. And today, our main direction are utility product for infrastructure. There's a problem, there's a need, and we have the solution. So we go for this. And then once we can scale this one, we will diversify and offer other products. But first, we want to dig in this direction.
And what makes Mobbot a more environmentally sustainable choice, given all of the other alternatives that are out there?
Yeah, there are three aspects. The first one is that thanks to our technology, customers can use their own raw materials, basically local raw materials, existing raw materials. This is the first aspect. The second is by additive manufacturing, and by our technology, we can do mass customization. So through mass customization, we can reduce the amount of concrete, so the wall thickness needed for every single element, such that for a very simple utility product, like a product that will be put underground, instead of having a wall thickness of 20 centimeters, for a certain purpose, we can use only 15 centimeters, which just by having this customization, we can reduce the amount of concrete and hence the amount of CO2. And the third aspect is that thanks to prefabrication or precast, we can have parallel execution on the job site. So if you add all this aspect, we have really like a huge impact on the sustainability of every single concrete element that are built.
And what about the reusing or the recycling or repurposing even of this concrete material you produce?
100% recyclable because concrete by definition is also a natural material, so we can recycle it. But what makes our technology also very interesting is that we can also integrate recycled material, recycled cement or recycled aggregates. We have done some preliminary tests. We are not yet producing, we are not at this stage, but this is the next step we want to take, is really to integrate also recycled material and recycled concrete.
Well, thank you, Agnes, so much for your insights today, for being part of our summer series. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was really nice of you. Thanks a lot.